the trig functions, okay? So what mode do I need to be in with my trig functions? What? Radian mode. So make sure you're in radian mode, it's going to look weird. Okay, so the first thing I need to find is what? X and Y intercepts.
Well, I mean, Mike, I can't really help you here.
Handy calculator. Can't let you plug in because I'll trip. Okay, so we have to make sure. I'll move it over that way. Well, it's going to be in the way because I'm going to need it. Okay, Mark. Okay, so.
Please zoom in.
Try sliding your hand
Make sure I'm in radian mode.
That's what I tried.
Okay.
So how you zoom in?
We see it.
You can't
I
zoom
tried.
in on the video.
See, I tried that earlier, but it wouldn't let me do it.
Then how is he supposed to?
There's like a light dot in the middle of that. Jeff, hit the light.
Don't worry about it.
I mean, you can't see anything.
What do you mean?
Can't
Like,
see it.
you can't see it. It's a dot.
Well,
Hit the front
turn a
light.
little bit to the side. Just X minus.
Just the first light. I mean, you can see it now.
That's even
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
That's better?
Yeah.
You can see what's on the board?
We do
Okay.
all class like this. I know, I like
Okay, whatever. Okay, so I put it in for Y1. What does it have to be? What has to be in here in Y4 or somewhere? Okay, we like Y4. Did you like how I had that set up? Where you do first derivative, second derivative. You don't have to change that. Okay, so I want to look at the graph. What's wrong with my graph? I need to go to zoom trig.
There's a
There's
sun
nothing
in
wrong
the
with that. But when I go to zoom trig, okay, then I'm counting by my half of pi's. Okay, so this says 0. This is pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, 2 pi. It's here, and it counts 1, 2, 3. Okay, just like we did when we graphed those to start with. So what does it look like my x and y intercepts are? Looks like it's 0, 0. Okay, here in my table. And 0, 0 is right there. So that's the thing we want to remember, that when it's 0, 0, that's your x-intercept and your y-intercept. It's confusing for some people. Okay, so now what's my next step? Always. For every graphing problem. Take the derivative.
So it would be 1 cosine. I know.
Okay, so what's the derivative of x?
1.
Okay, what's the derivative of sine?
Cosine.
Okay, so what can I do with that? With my calculator. I can do it by hand. Okay, I can go negative cosine x equals 0. And because the derivative of sine is just cosine. The derivative of cosine is negative sine. So then it would be negative, negative. But it's minus, so the minus goes there. The derivative of sine is cosine. Okay, so that's a good point. So if I move this over, divide by negative 1, where is the cosine equal to a positive 1 on the unit circle? So you can do it that way, and I've been helping. That's one of the reasons we learned that, work on that in pre-cal. Okay, so I can go back and turn off Y1 now. And I'm going to type in 1 minus cosine x. Okay, so turn that one off, turn that one on, look at my derivative. Okay, so where is the cosine equal to 1? At 0 and 2 pi. Does that correspond when you think of your unit circle? Okay, 0 and 2 pi. At the beginning, the coordinates are 1, 0. Okay, is it above or below?
Above.
It's above.
It's always that.
Right. So I'm going to put f prime of x equals 0 if and only if x equals 0 and 2 pi. And do my number line. Remember, this time it's not arrows because I'm only doing one period there because it's on forever, so nothing goes on there, does it? Right? Because it doesn't hit anywhere in here. Okay? Doesn't hit anything in there, right? And is it above or below?
But
Above, so what do I put here?
positive.
Plus. Okay? So now what do I do?
Take the derivative.
Take the derivative of that. Do the second derivative. F double prime of x equals, what's the derivative of 1? Okay, now here, Claire, here's where you think. Okay, it's negative. What's the derivative of cosine?
Negative sign.
Negative sign. So a negative negative becomes plus. Okay, so f prime of x double prime equals 0 if and only if x equals. Where is sine equal to 0? That's what you're doing. Where is the sine part equal to 0? Okay, you can think about the parent, the original sine graph. I can type it in my calculator. Okay, so let's see, where is sine equal to 0? I guess, Kevin? Unless you want to wait like 2 minutes. There's that problem. Okay. Okay. All right. So where does it cross the x-axis? Okay, so 0, pi, and 2 pi. If you think about your unit circle, where is the sign equal to 0 on either side? Okay, so at 0, pi, and 2 pi. Okay, those have to be part of it because that's where it crosses. Okay, it happened to cross only there before. And it crosses at pi. Okay, so what's it doing on my graph? It's
Above.
above
Below.
and below. So what goes on my sign chart? Plus, minus. Okay? So what's the last step before I graph it?
Put it on the table.
T-chart. Go back by the window. On that shelf, okay? So, I need to take the numbers off my number lines, my sign charts to go on there. And when I'm doing these, I always want to put my 0 and 2 pi there. Okay? Because it is a defined interval. What are on my number lines in between there? Only the pi, right? Okay, so I can go back and I can put those in the original. Okay, so I'm going to go here and turn that one off, turn that one back on. Or, okay, I can say, look in my original, what's 0 minus the sine of 0? So if you're thinking about your unit circle, at 0, the coordinates are 1, 0. Does everybody agree with that? Cosine, sine. So what's the sine at 0? What's 0 minus 0? 0. Okay. Now I'm going to do pi minus, what's the sine over here at pi? What's the sine at pi? 0. So it's pi minus 0. Pi. Now I'm going to put 2 pi in here. So see, this is really almost easier than putting in the calculator. What's 2 pi minus the sine of 2 pi? So what's the sine at 2 pi?
2 pi.
0, so it's just 2 pi. Okay? So let's check that and see if that makes sense when I put it in my calculator. Okay, so I'm going to go to my table. What's wrong with my table? It needs to go back to table as, okay? Second window to change it. So remember, when you start, you got to keep going back and forth. Gives me a key chart. So I put 0 in there, and I got 0. I typed pi in there, and I got pi. I typed 2 pi in there, and I got 2 pi. So I did it right, didn't I? Okay. So now I'm going to go to actually graph my function here. And I said for these, it's usually easier actually not to use graph paper because what we're going to count by. And how did I count on there?
Well, this one kind of goes into the axis.
Okay, since I have pi's on my y, think that's what I'm gonna put on there. Does it make sense to label it that way? Okay, you can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm gonna graph my x and y intercepts first, which is 0, 0. Then I'm gonna graph what's on my t-chart, which is 0, 0, pi, pi, 2 pi, 2 pi. Okay, what does my first derivative tell me that my original is always doing? It's always rising, it's increasing. What does my second derivative tell me it's doing? It's smiling, it's concave up, and it's frowning, it's concave down. So it's going like that, but it's going that way, and then it's going that way. And let's look back here, is that what it looks like? 2 pi. Okay, why does it go off? Because 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it's not going all the way up to 2 pi, which is 6. If you really want to look at it, we could go to the window and change my y max to 7. So here, there. Is that what it looks like on my graph? It does. Good job. Okay, stop the video.